It's been an incredible 6 months that I could have never even envisioned. Like, if you were to tell me a year ago, in January even, that, there would be an Instagram show, which I have to, note has been around since 2018, but that I would have the opportunity to host and produce, I wouldn't have believed you, David. I'd say, David, one, how are we even talking right now a year ago? And then two, how am I hosting this thing?
What does it take to get a more in-depth look into the week's top local news story? The Debrief brings you inside for a one-on-one conversation with our reporters. Every week, right here, right now. The Debrief.
Brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Visit our partner site, nbcnewyork.com/healthyou, to help you on your health journey. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
So the very fact that we're joining you on our Debrief podcast underscores our effort at NBC New York and our local news to try to find audiences elsewhere, to try to meet them where they are. Podcasts have been a big part of that effort for all news operations in recent years, and also on the various social media platforms. And for us, we have an initiative that we're excited about too called Listen Up. It's our Instagram story show, and it is hosted by a vibrant native New Yorker named Kay Angrum. And so we thought we'd bring Kay on today to talk more about that, including something they did exciting recently. So Kay, welcome to the Debrief.
Thank you.
I feel like we're more in your arena, in your world where you play more than I am, although I've been enjoying the Debrief podcast, but you really are at the front of our efforts as a station to try to get audiences perhaps that left or probably recruit new audiences. Is that right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the, NBC as a whole, just the investment into digital, as we've seen, whether it's Stay Tuned with Snapchat or NBC News Now, and then it's trickling down into local because they've realized that, audiences are everywhere. And, that starts with our phone. That's where we're at. That's where we're spending a lot of our time. So it's been really fun.
Good. So let's start. Tell the audience what you do and a little bit of how you do it, and then we'll get into your stories, how you got here and how excited you were to actually land here.
Yes, for sure. So pumped. So I basically...
And that's enthusiasm that infuses her Listen Up, by the way, but go ahead.
It's so true. I produce the show from concept to completion. So that means I'm coming in every day, I'm pitching stories to my boss, Ben, and once those get approved, I'm writing a script, and then once that's approved, I go outside and I shoot in the field. So that's been something that's been really new to Listen Up since I started, is, making sure we're out there, we're with New Yorkers, we're interviewing New Yorkers, we being me. So
yes.
kind of the one man,
like
one
our big
band.
podcast squad here that we have. Yes.
Right. So it's all me, just going out there shooting, and then I come back in and then I edit it together, and then I'm posting it to where you all are watching it, which is on Instagram stories, IGTV, YouTube, Facebook, and then listening to it on Alexa. What's up, y'all? It's Monday, July 29th, and you're watching Listen Up. Hey, what's up? I'm Kay Angrum, and these are today's top headlines. Hey, it's Monday, October 7th, and you're watching Listen Up.
So, Kay, a couple of things on that. How do you do story selection? What of your stories might also be seen on our newscast or on our other parts of our website, and what won't? What is different about your approach and what you're trying to do?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I feel like, Instagram's unique because a lot of people are on it aside from wanting to, keep in touch with friends and check out cool photos like, hey, I went on this vacation, oh my gosh, what's my friend up to? But, it's an interesting and unique platform because, we're tapping into people wanting to see those interesting stories, those cool stories that's unique, right? So I look at it more as like here's what you need to know, but also wanting to make sure we tap into that lifestyle aspect that Instagram is known for. So it's, here's a cool spot in the city to get food. Here's a cool pop-up that just opened. Or, maybe it's a restaurant, which we do a lot of. It's my personal favorite. I love food. So as much of it as we can get on the show, I'll put it in there. Next up, we got a behind-the-scenes tour of Beetlejuice on Broadway. Check it out. New York Comic-Con took the city by storm over the weekend. Here's what you may have missed.
Coming to Comic-Con is great. Makes you feel like a kid again.
And finally, if you're still looking for weekend plans, New York Live's got some of the city's hottest hidden gems. But yeah, it's of course, letting New Yorkers know here are the top headlines of the day. That we make sure we get to.
So you do get some top news headlines.
Yes, yeah. So it's about 3 to 4 stories in each episode. And right off the top, I'm telling you the weather. I'm telling you, here's the big story of the day. Maybe it's that crazy, deer smashing into a hair salon, which did really well for us. Not so much for that salon, but
True, good point.
but everyone was okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like that, the headlines and then the things to do.
A big part of your effort, though, is how you produce it, how you shoot it, how you present it. Talk a little bit about that, because it is a different audience.
Yeah, it is.
Or that audience consumes information in a different way.
Exactly, and with that in mind of how it's consumed, I think something that's really big going into producing the show is just really understanding that it is native to Instagram. So you will literally catch me in these streets with my phone, out selfie style, and just making sure it's keeping in line with what people want to see when they open that app is like, hey guys, like I'm walking the streets, there's this cool pop-up behind me, so it's really down to the production style of how it looks, how it feels. But with that, it's also, we post to Instagram stories, and Instagram is cool in that it has, different features like polls you can take or quizzes you can, see if you get the answer right. And I really, really love to include those elements, because that's what's fun about the app. I'm doing something that honestly I would want to see, that I would want to watch, because
That's
hey,
interesting.
We're on the app.
What do you know about your audience? What have you been able to gather since you've been doing it? Anything?
Yeah, what I'd say I've noticed is, number one, just speaking about those different features like the polls and the quizzes. They're really, really good about interacting with those. They being, our audience, our Listen Up squad, as I've started to call them,
right.
our viewers. And yeah, they're great about, really interacting with the stories, asking questions. We've started to get more comments, which I personally love. It's great for me to see, because it means, one, that they're watching, but two, that they're engaging, which I think is a huge part, again, of Instagram, is that engagement. But also in terms of, stories, I'd say, again, to go back to that deer crashing into that salon, it really, I think it ties back into just the journalism basics, is really good video.
Right.
And that's something that I'd like to be huge on with this show is, what is that video that's going to make you go, oh my goodness, like that is crazy. And so stories that have been like that do pretty well. We get a lot of views with those.
How long have you been doing it, Kay?
I started in May of
this
year, 2019.
Has anything surprised you so far, or struck you in this journey here that's not quite a year?
Honestly, everything. Like sitting here right now and talking to you.
Oh my goodness, come on.
Has shocked me. I just can't. If I'm being real, it's been a journey. It's been an incredible 6 months that I could have never even envisioned. Like, if you were to tell me a year ago, in January even, that, there would be an Instagram show, which I have to, note has been around since 2018, but that I would have the opportunity to host and produce, I wouldn't have believed you, David. I'd say, David, one, how are we even talking right now a year ago? And then two, how am I hosting this thing?
That's amazing. Well, maybe that's a segue to your path here, because you do come in and you seem like someone who's really genuinely enthusiastic about working here at 30 Rock, doing what you do, and it is, it's an infectious enthusiasm. Tell us a little bit about your path. We try to form a nexus to whatever's tri-state, New York, and you are native 100% New York City. Tell us about your path, how you grew up, and then what led you to here.
Yeah, I sure am. Native New Yorker through and through. I was born and raised in the Bronx, in the Boogie Down Bronx. So, kind of say Boogie Down.
Yeah.
And I was born in the Bronx and, went to middle school, elementary school, all throughout, South Bronx, going to after schools in the Claremont projects. Like, full Bronx bred. But then I also have an interesting, unique to having also been raised in Harlem. So, I'm very much familiar with the boroughs, and Harlem's where I live now. But yeah, so, born and raised here in New York City. It's a city that I love, that I knew that I wanted to get back to. I went to school in California.
You did?
For college.
All
so
right.
I went to USC, and I studied journalism there because...
Good communication school there, yeah.
Exactly. When applying, I already knew I wanted to get into this field, and yeah, I knew that I was on the journey to get back, because there is just nothing like New York.
I'm told that you come from a family of teachers, educators.
Yes, correct.
And that you, tell us a little bit how you had to break the news to them that you didn't want to necessarily follow the family path.
I know, which my grandmother hears this, she's gonna be like.
You're actually in the car with your mom, is that right?
I was, yeah. Okay. So, I believe I was in 8th grade, and I was a little high strung, David, if I'm being real. As a kid, I was like freaking out. I'm in the car with my mom. I think we're driving home, and I tell her, Mom, what am I going to do with the rest of my life?
At 8th grade, you were having this
8th grade, high strung.
Existential thoughts. Yes.
Existential crisis, exactly. And, my mom, being the mom that she is, she's like, all right, listen, she pulls the car over. She's like, let's figure this out right now. Okay. Bless her. Yeah. Her heart. And she's like, let's just start thinking. Let's start, planning it out and just talking about things that I loved at the time, which included, I loved going to concerts. I've always loved writing, and I enjoyed talking as well, and giving presentations in school, like things that sparked joy for me, that really made me light up. We were like, let's tap into that, and so just kind of talking that out in the car, piecing it all together. And at the time, I was a huge fan of Juliana Rancic on E! News. I watched a lot of entertainment, and that again coincides with going to concerts and meeting people backstage and taking video footage of these shows and posting them online, and seeing people just kind of light up anytime we'd get some exclusive footage or backstage access. It was the idea of kind of bridging the gap for fans and the artists that they loved, which is what I loved most about Juliana and things like E! Is that they brought it to you first. And so it was having that conversation with my mom, in addition to doing a newsroom visit to a local station here in New York, New York 1. I'd watch Weather on the Ones every morning, but now it's WNBC.
Yes, we know where you are now, but that's okay. New York 1 is authentically New York.
Yes, yeah, and
so you visited with Cheryl Wills.
Yes, exactly.
Been a long time anchor there.
Yes, and she's one of my earlier mentors, and she had me come down. I was fast forward, I was then in high school in Spanish Harlem, and our school's newspaper was going away. I wasn't on the paper, but I knew, which I don't know how that happened, but I wasn't on the paper. Right. But I knew they were going away, and I'm like, look, if I want to do this, I need to get, a byline. I want something in there. So I begged my professor, I'm like, look, please let me get something in here. He's like, all right, fine, what do you want to do? I say an interview. He's like, with who? I say Cheryl Wills. Had I reached out? No. But then I do, and she's like, all right, come on in. And I just, till this day, will never forget that day of being...
She's been a mentor to many, for sure.
Oh, she is a queen. And I just remembered being in that newsroom and thinking, this is what a doctor must feel like, being at the operating table, or a teacher feels like in a classroom. I'd felt like I'd found my classroom. Wow. And that was the newsroom.
That's really interesting to say that. So you knew, and you kind of combined both experiences, the behind the scenes at concerts with the newsroom presence, and it set you up for something that who could have imagined, even back then when you were in 8th or 9th grade, that has a place in local news operations, right?
Right, exactly.
It's kind of fascinating. So you recently did something that was ambitious for us, right? Regarding the tree lighting.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
That's right, yeah. So we, a first for Listen Up, and my understanding for the company was producing a live show. So we did Listen Up Live, which again was a first, and it was, weeks, months of really just, packaging stories, building, again, from concept to completion, all the way to the tree lighting. So the iconic Rockefeller tree lighting here at 30 Rock, and it was incredible. It was incredible.
All right, the holidays have arrived, and what better place to celebrate than right here at Rockefeller Center. I'm Kay Angrum, and you're watching Listen Up Live. Now, in just a bit, they're going to flip the switch and hit a button, so that way the tree gets lit. But guys, first off, let's get into this pregame.
Was that a blast for you?
It was so much fun, and again, I think it really boiled down to having an idea, right? kind of, you know, our bosses come to us, hey, we want to do a live show, and seeing it come into fruition. I think it was the minute that, you know, they said, and we're done, that I was just like, I cannot believe we did that. But it really, you know, it's being able to come in every day and work with colleagues like Darren Price, like Jesse Edwards, you know, and, you know, just to see that we were able to get that done. Our small but diligent team.
Right.
We made it happen.
Well, I'm sure it'll be done again. Now now that you've done it, now that you've drawn first blood, as they say.
I think a first of many.
So I have to follow Instagram. How can listeners find you? Because I think it's an interesting. They should check it out if they haven't already, just to kind of see the different approach. That
Yeah. If you're not already following NBC New York on Instagram, you want to do that. It's at NBC New York, and once you do that, you will be able to access through our stories. You'll see also on IGTV for Listen Up, and we also publish and post to YouTube and Facebook stories as well.
Okay.
And Alexa.
All right.
Of course.
Finding all those platforms wherever they are. All right.
Exactly.
Well, I think you need to work on your enthusiasm. It's a little understated. I think you could talk a little bit more and be a little bit more engaging. But other than that, I think I'm kidding.
A little more chipper.
It's
I know.
fascinating,
I've been
Kate.
told.
And so good luck with it. And thanks for popping by the Debrief podcast.
Oh no, this is my favorite podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you for
It is
having
today,
me on.
anyway. There you go.
Thanks,
All
David.
right, Kay Angrum, thank you. I'm your host, David Usher. We want to thank our Debrief team, which is oddly enough some of the Listen Up team as well. Harrison Choi's here. Thank you, Harrison. Jesse Edwards is always here. Ben Berkowitz. Thanks to the team. We'll check you next time on the Debrief.
Thank you for watching this video from NBC4 New York. You can subscribe by tapping the button below me, and on the left you can see our latest updates, investigations, and digital exclusives. We'll see you next time.